Welcome back to New England Living. I'm Rachel Holt. Coming up next, we'll meet a man creating custom knives for some of the world's top chefs. Adam Simha, owner of MKS Knife, has been handcrafting knives in his Cambridge studio for over 2 decades.
I started making knives in the early 2000s because I needed some. Of all the people that I knew in the industry that were still in it, they all had mixed feelings about the tools that they had available to them. So I started making more and more custom things for people that I knew, and it just ballooned from there to what it is now, which has taken over my life.
What is the reason that chefs are coming to you?
I think to be a great chef, you need great tools. Getting a knife made for you is as wonderful, if not more, as getting bespoke clothing or shoes. And getting something that is made with the care and the time that a factory can't afford to take allows it to function in just a superb way.
Working with the best of the best in terms of the chefs out there to the average home cook, what's the secret to tailoring a knife to each specific person?
The secret is keeping them talking while watching their hands. Some people know their body mechanics really well and are really good at explaining them, but a lot of chefs learn by rote. To ask a chef, what do you like about what you're using, or what do you dislike about it, or where do you feel fatigue? Sometimes they have the answer, sometimes they don't. I'm the one that has to translate from watching them do what they do into making a tool that's going to be perfect for them. If I give the choices to the person's hands, so to speak, when I say, go from this to this to this and do the same move that you're comfortable doing, one of them will resonate with their body mechanics better, and it usually will be only one. They'll do what they're used to doing or what their body wants to do, and the tool will either go along and help, or it will fight against them. And that's immediately obvious in how their hands and body react to it. For a home cook, I want to make something that people just love, that makes them love the idea of using it, love the idea of cooking, eating, and feeding their family.
What are some tips you have for those that are cooking at home?
The most important tip I would have for anyone cooking at home would be to take a small amount of time every day for a week or two and practice your knife skills. It's hard to do well and quickly, but not that hard to learn to do well. If you pay attention to what you're doing, making dinner 5 or 6 times, it will improve your skill level immensely. Little things like holding a knife straight, not letting it flop around, and not cutting on glass, and not scraping the blade, and not leaving it in the sink. That stuff is easy to learn, and it really improves your experience.
From materials to design, what are some different ways that you can customize a knife?
From a material standpoint, and the big one is stainless versus carbon. Then we get into things like the actual shape, the profile of the edge, the weight and the balance, the profile of the body of the knife. Some are ground flat on either side, some are ground concave, or as we say, hollow, and some are convex. Each has advantages and disadvantages, and it all depends on what sort of work the person's going to be doing with it.
What's your process like once in the workshop?
I'll start with steel that I buy in sheets or bars and cut it and shape it at the bandsaw. Then it'll get refined on a grinder, have holes drilled in it on a drill press. Get the profile perfect, send that out to heat treat, so now the knife is hard. I'll grind the body and finish it by hand, then have a handle glued on, have that refined at the grinder, and once again back and finished here at the bench.
You grew up in Cambridge and you've worked at a number of different restaurants in the area. How does your background in the industry help you when you're working with these chefs?
Just being able to connect with them on the level of someone who is doing that sort of work for 10 to 12 hours in a row allows me to design and build tools that are appropriate for that context. You get something that's impossible to find in a store.
One of Adam's loyal clients is Erin Miller, executive chef and owner of Urban Hearth in Cambridge. All eyes are on you during a given meal. I imagine this plays into you wanting the right tools. How important is it to have the right knife?
Oh, it's essential. It is the one critical tool that we need in order to do our jobs. And having a knife that is durable and functional and made for the work that I do can't be understated.
How do Adam's knives differ from other knives that you've used in the past?
When Adam built my knife, it was with an understanding that I wanted to have one knife in my hand at all times. And I wanted to be able to do anything from thinly sliced radishes to break down a chicken, to fillet a fish, to do all of these things that not all knives are necessarily built to do. So I wanted a tool that had multi-levels of functionality. It was designed for my grip, the size of my hand, and the kind of work that I do. Above all else, it makes my job easier. I'm able to work efficiently. I'm more dexterous in the kitchen because I can switch from one task to another using the same knife. I don't get blisters on my hands anymore. It feels balanced. I can work really quickly with it, stay sharp, and it's a beautiful piece of art as well. You get to know it really well. You know, it really is kind of, for a writer, it's your favorite pen. For a chef, it's the knife that you use day in and day out.
You have a chef's counter here.
Sure.
I'm sure people are watching your knife skills very closely.
Very closely, yeah. There's definitely no room for error when you have an audience so close to you. And they often ask questions about them, and it's really special for me to be able to say, well, not only is this a very special knife, but it's made right here in Cambridge by one of your neighbors.
Being the guy that helps these chefs elevate their cooking and bring their game to the next level, what's that feeling like?
Oh, it's wonderful. It makes every cut and bruise, every long day, more than worth it.
Coming up next, Bistro du Midi head chef Robert Siska joins us in the test kitchen for his take on a classic French dish when New England Living returns after this.